Hello dear learners. Today we are going to talk on the course Basics of Apparel Industry and Entrepreneurship. The course code for this is BHC 005. Myself, Dr. Richa Prakash, Faculty, School of Continuing Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Now the topic that we are going to talk today is Overview of Apparel Industry Part 1 and 2. Like food and shelter, clothing is a basic need. Indian textiles and apparel are famous for their fine craftsmanship. The apparel industry produces a wide range of garments and uses almost every type of textile that is being manufactured. In this session, we shall study the evolution, growth, and features of the apparel industry. The objectives for this topic are understand the importance of textile and apparel industry, understand the salient features of the Indian textile industry, trace the origin of the apparel industry in India, explain the growth of the apparel industry in India, and discuss the segmentation in the Indian apparel market. Let's talk about the introduction of this topic. The textile and apparel industry in India is one of the oldest and the largest manufacturing sectors in the country. The industry plays a pivotal role in building the economy of a nation as it contributes immensely through industry output and is a major foreign exchange earner for the country. The growth and development of this industry has a direct bearing on the involvement of the economy of our country. The Indian textile and apparel industry is an enormous complex entity. The Indian textile industry is as diverse and complex as the country itself, and it combines this immense diversity into a cohesive world with equability. Now let's talk about the structure of the Indian textile industry. The Indian textile industry is divided into two major sectors: organized sector, which is also called mill sector, and unorganized sector, which is also called decentralized sector. Organized sector is further divided into spinning mills and composite mills. Unorganized sector is further divided into powerloom, handloom, and wholesale. What is apparel industry? We all know that most of the garments were either stitched at home or were custom made earlier by the tailors till about a couple of decades ago. The emergence of clothing apparel industry is a comparatively recent phenomenon. The Rating Division of Credit Analysis and Research Limited reported that Indian apparel sector is the largest segment of the Indian textile and clothing industry, and it accounts for approximately 50% of the total industry. Furthermore, it is one of the largest sources of foreign exchange flow into the country. Now let's talk about a little bit about the history of ready-to-wear apparel. The phrase ready-to-wear is a translation from the French term which is also known as prêt-à-porter and can also be known as off the peg or off the rack. Why is it called off the peg? That's because you just go to the shelf in the market and you just pick anything from the rack. So it's ready to wear basically. You don't have to go to a tailor and get it stitched or made. It is universally accepted that a ready to wear item is characterized by two things: standard sizing and finish to be worn. The story of ready to wear started with the technological innovation of the powerloom and the sewing machine. The powerloom ensured adequate supply of fabric to the industry. The military measurements were subsequently used after the war to develop the first commercial sizing system for men. The direct effect of this was that women's clothes began to make more practical sense for the first time. During each war, there was a marked change in women's clothes that is best summarized as simplification. Women's clothes were simplified and made to work within the requirements of working in an office or factory. Now, how did the apparel industry grow in India? There are a number of factors positively influencing the growth of the apparel industry, like increase in job opportunities, rapidly growing middle class, increasing disposable incomes, changing lifestyles, and consumption patterns, rising number of tech-savvy consumers, and an increasingly powerful manufacturing sector, to name a few. These in turn have resulted in a radical change in the mindset amongst Indian consumers. Consumers are willing to pay for quality and premium products, and spending on brands is not unusual. These new market trends have tremendously benefited apparel industry. This spurt in growth has been further driven by the increased demand for ready-made apparel in semi-urban areas, increasing youth population, and preference from branded apparel amongst customers. Because people have so much of disposable income, it's very easily to spurt that income, to spurt that money on branded clothing or apparel. Also, apparel manufacturers, retailers, and merchandisers are undertaking high-level branding exercises. across varied retail formats like exclusive stores, multi-brand outlets, department stores, discount stores, and hypermarkets. Retailers are also increasingly adopting the franchise route for keeping up with the rapid expansion in the apparel retail sector. Due to technological advancements and use of sophisticated machinery, the Indian manufacturers are able to produce better quality and well-designed garments, which has not only given a boost to apparel exports in the last few years, but has also attracted investments in the sector by foreign players. Now, also let's talk about the growth and development of apparel industries in all the developing countries. Apparel manufacturing is one of the many labor-intensive sectors that provide a getaway for developing countries to enter into the global market. It offers important opportunities to countries to start industrializing their economies and in course of time diversify away the commodity experience. Over 40 years ago, the industrialized countries dominated global exports in this sector. Today, one will be surprised to know that developing countries produce half of the world's textile exports. Moreover, the economic performance of the apparel and textile industries in developing countries has had large impact on employment opportunities, especially for women. The development of small and medium-sized enterprises, which is also called SMEs, and spillovers into the informal sector. Textile production is more capital intensive than apparel production, and hence developing countries account for the smaller share in textile output but account for a large share in the labor intensive production of garments. And one of the major reasons for this is also because we have huge labor power. However, significant restructuring took place worldwide in the garment industry after the phasing out of the multi-fiber agreement, which is also called MFA, on 1st January 2005. Production sites were relocated and competition became stiff due to recession. Apparel exports remained far below the potential in major countries, including India, due to reduced demand for apparel worldwide. Now, global apparel sourcing, how has it shifted the whole textile activity to Asia? It has been said that 21st century will belong to Asia. This is getting clearer for the textile and apparel sector. It is well known that with very high labor cost in USA and Europe, entire activity from spinning to garmenting is shifting to Asian countries like China, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, etc. Within the abolition of quota regime, each country is trying to grab maximum share of world trade in the textile and garment sector. Indian textile industry and apparel industry is facing fierce competition, particularly from China, Bangladesh, Turkey, and Sri Lanka. The high development in the global transport and communication systems has also assisted the shifting of production location. Fast movement of commodities over continents and instant communications led to fast transfer of any kind of data and information. Now, apparel export industry in India. Apparel industry is the biggest segment in India's export basket. India is considered to be one of the best countries for sourcing of garments, textiles, and accessories. It provides a perfect blend of fashion, designs, quality, textures, and colors. Its strength lies in providing value-added garments with handwork. The Apparel Export Promotional Council, AEPC, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India, has been entrusted with the responsibility of monitoring of garment exports and promotion of exports of ready-made garments from India. It plays a pivotal role for the promotion and facilitation of garment manufacturing and their exports. Members have access to updated trade statistics and information on international fairs and assistance for participating in these fairs. It provides comprehensive information and technical guidance to workforce and also provides market intelligence. Data on updated trade statistics, international fairs, and potential markets is made available to the members. It also plays a large role in identifying new markets and in leading trade delegations to various countries. India's textile products, including handlooms and handicrafts, are exported to more than 100 countries. The major markets to which India exports apparel are the USA, European Union, UAE, and parts of Asia as well. The salient market of Indian apparel export is Europe with UK. Germany and France are the leading destinations, although USA remains the single largest buyer. The other major export destinations are China, UAE, Sri Lanka, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Bangladesh, Turkey, Vietnam, Brazil, Hong Kong, Canada, and Egypt. Now, what is the structure of the apparel industry? The production is largely done by merchant exporters, manufacturer exporters, and manufacturers. They are also supported by fabricators who provide flexible production capacity for the manufacturers and merchant exporters. Fabricators are subcontractors mainly involved in sewing or embroidery activity, and they all combine together basically to make the manufacturer successful. Usually, most garment manufacturers specialize in fabricating one or two forms of outfits. The manufacturers are responsible for every stage in the production of garments, from design and selling to production and deliveries to the customer. The strength of this type of organization lies in design and market expertise and the ability to, first of all, anticipate or follow the changes in fashion very closely, anticipate possible fluctuations in the level of demand, and the third point is finance the operation of business. Now let's talk about merchandising in the apparel industry. What is merchandiser? Who is a merchandiser? A merchandiser is the interface between the buyer and the exporter. The merchandiser is responsible for particular lines of merchandise with specific buyers. He is responsible from order analysis to shipment. So merchandising is very crucial department in the apparel industry. So in very simple word, if we explain who is a merchandiser, so merchandiser is that person who actually takes care of the whole manufacturing process of any product right from the first stage to the last stage. And that merchandiser, that person actually, he or she acts as an interface in between the buyer and the exporter. So passing information, how the work should be done, what are the different steps that has to be followed, how the process has to go about, everything the merchandiser has to look after. Merchandising is the department which also mediates between marketing and promotion departments in a company. Sometimes the merchandising department also does costing and pricing of the apparel. The merchandiser is the person whose responsibility is to execute the orders perfectly as per the instructions of the buyer. Now, there are various responsibilities that a merchandiser has to follow. Some of them are internal and external communication, sampling, accessories and trims, preparing internal order sheets, preparing purchase orders, advising and assisting production, advising quality department about quality level, mediating production and quality departments, giving shipping instructions and following the shipping process, helping documentation department, taking responsibility for inspections and following the shipment process. Now, what is apparel supply chain? Apparel supply chain in India. Supply chain management is the amalgamation of key business process from the original suppliers that provide products, services, and information that add value for customers and also other stakeholders to the end user. This supply chain is one of the most diverse with respect to the raw materials and technologies used as well as the products manufactured. The apparel supply chain in India therefore consists of varied raw material sectors, spinning and extrusion facilities, processing sector, weaving and knitting sectors, and garment manufacturing units that work through an extensive distribution channel. Apparel manufacturing is the least capital-intensive section in the textile value chain. Hence, it is characterized by low entry barriers, that is, it requires comparatively low initial capital investment for setting up business and is highly fragmented. It is also highly labor intensive and requires skilled, unskilled and semi-skilled laborers. Traditionally, the apparel industry has been divided into two sectors, namely exports and domestic. The domestic apparel industry of India is labor intensive and an industry which supports the government's main objectives of increasing employment in the country. The domestic apparel industry has the potential to grow at a good pace, and Indian retailers have developed better range in terms of quality and numbers. It is also estimated that there are approximately 65,000 garment units in the organized sector, and majority are small and medium-sized firms that are spread all over the country. Besides these, there are clusters emerging in regions such as Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, National Capital Region NCR, Calcutta, Coimbatore, Ludhiana, and other cities. Now, how does the segmentation in Indian apparel market work? Market segmentation is the process of dividing potential customers into smaller segments based on certain characteristics such as age, income, place, lifestyle, etc. The consumers within each segment share similar or related characteristics and respond in a similar way to various marketing strategies. The Indian apparel market can be segmented in three different ways: segmentation by user category, segmentation by use, and segmentation by price. Let's talk about the first one, that is by user category. Broadly, the domestic apparel industry constitutes three segments: menswear, womenswear, and kidswear. Unisex garments and uniforms are also significant components of the apparel product. Segmentation by use: a rough estimate of the segmentation of the apparel market by the analyst on the basis of the use of apparel indicates that casual wear dominates the market and accounts for more than half, followed by sportswear, formal wear, and ethnic wear. Now, the last segmentation is the segmentation by price. The apparel market can be segregated into largely three categories with respect to the price of the merchandise as follows. The first one is low-end markets. It is driven by large volumes and the products are mostly unbranded. A large number of manufacturers, mostly regional and local players, dominate this kind of market. Mid-range market, it is characterized by quality products. The manufacturers are large and medium players. And the last one is high-end market. It comprises of premium and super premium products. It is dominated by multinational companies and major Indian manufacturers. Now let's conclude about the overview of apparel industry that we have just talked about. After this session, one becomes familiar with the fact that the textile and apparel industry in India plays a pivotal role in building the economy of our nation. You have also got a quick glance at the structure of the Indian textile industry, evolution of ready-to-wear apparel, and the various factors positively influencing the growth of the apparel industry. Segmentation on the basis of user category, use, and price poses both opportunities and challenges to the national and international brands who are thinking of expansion in India. Summing up the whole session, in this session of overview of apparel industry, we have learned about the importance of the textile and apparel industry in India and its immense contribution to the Indian economy. It is the largest manufacturing sector and a major foreign exchange earner. Segmentation by use indicates relative volumes of casual, formal wear. Price is a determining factor for segmenting the apparel industry into low, medium, and high-end markets. Men's wear accounts for almost 41%, women's wear 38%, and kids wear 21% of the total apparel market. And this data has been taken by 2022. All the three sectors are characterized by the presence of international and national brands. China is far ahead in apparel exports and India is facing stiff competition from emerging smaller economies like Bangladesh, Turkey, and Vietnam. Also, the Indian apparel industry needs to follow global norms on social and environmental compliance issues stringently to compete in the global market. One has to also follow the environmental factors that has been made by the foreign agencies. So this is all about the overview of apparel industry, part 1 and 2. Thank you.